الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وتم التسليم على سيدنا مولانا وحبيبنا وقرة أعيننا سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وأزواجه وذرياته ومن اهتدى بهديه ليوم الدين. تركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. ثم أما بعد. All praises due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Lord and Sustainer of the universe. We beseech and implore Him to offer His manifest blessings and salutations upon His last and final Prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and upon his kin, his companion, his wives, and all those who follow his guidance till the last day. So, in this address, I address the students of the micro madrasa of Shaykh Ibrahim al-Siyafa and Shaykh Harun, and I just wanted to point out the importance of seeking knowledge, especially in a day and age where it's quite difficult to come by. And one of the unique aspects of the knowledge that we seek that pertain to sacred knowledge, especially the knowledge of our deen, is that it is an inherited tradition, and it is one that must be sought from those who have inherited it from those who sought it from those before them, in a silsila, or in a chain of transmission that goes back to the ulama who originally penned the works or the disciplines that we read, or in the case of the hadith and the Quran, that go back to the Prophet ﷺ himself. And so this inherited tradition cannot be one that is only sought from the pages in books or the suhuf. And it was said that al-alim al-suhafi, as some of the scholars have said, the scholar who only knows his knowledge from suhuf, from the pages of books, is not a true alim, is not a true scholar. So the ilm al-mawruth, or the knowledge that is inherited, has to be sought by ta'allum, or by the process of teaching and learning. And in this manner can it be properly transmitted and properly understood. Otherwise, the knowledge that one seeks merely from the reading of books is subject to false interpretations and to delusions and to misinterpretations, and ultimately someone who does such a thing is dal, or could lead to dalal, or could lead to misguidance. And then if they put themselves or put in a position to guide others, not only are they misguiding of themselves, but they tend to misguide others as well. And so the calamity is even doubly injurious, because you have the misguidance of the person who claims to be a scholar or is acting as a scholar, and then those who are following him in that manner. And so this ilm al-mawruth, this tradition by which we seek from those who are qualified to do so, and I said it is becoming more of a difficulty now than perhaps in the decades and centuries before, because there are fewer scholars around and there are fewer ulama, and they are dwindling in number. And the Prophet ﷺ foretold of such a phenomenon happening, where he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala لا ينتزع العلم انتزاعا ولكن بقبض العلماء, that Allah does not take knowledge away by stripping it away, but rather by the death of the ulama who carry it. So for every alim, every scholar that dies, rarely is it that someone is there to actually replace that alim in the same capacity that they were in before, but rather there's someone who's carrying on tradition in some sort of capacity, but not necessarily in very much the same manner as the scholar that he took from. And so to the students of the micro madrasa, and also to the students who are seeking knowledge in other places, these efforts have to be supported, they have to be nurtured, they have to be given the importance that they are due. We find often that people are quite anxious and quite engaged and ready to spend in the building of buildings, of laying down bricks, but these bricks really have no meaning if the people that occupy them, the people who actually make the building institution what they are also not supported. And so those of you who are seeking this knowledge, I beseech you to have as much sincerity, ikhlas, and al-jadd fi talab, and to have a seriousness about the knowledge that you seek. And know also that the knowledge that you seek realistically is a means and it's not an ends. The ends that we seek are to be enlightened human beings, enlightened individuals, people who embody the prophetic sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and in turn when we have enlightened people walking around society, then we have enlightened societies and we have enlightened communities, which is ultimately part of the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put us on this earth, and that we can live in the best manner and the best way that He intended for us by the sending of the revelation, the wahi, to His prophets, and also the sending of the hikmah, as mentioned in the Quran, or the wisdom, which is the sunnah, or the way of the prophets and the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I congratulate you, all of you, first of all, in that you are actively seeking knowledge, and secondly, I encourage you to continue despite the difficulties that you might incur, despite the sacrifices that you have to make. But as we all know, that which is easy to achieve generally will not be as meritorious as that which is more difficult to achieve. And as the Arab literary scholars say, أَلَذُّ الشَّيْءِ مَا يُنَال بَعْدَ الطَّلَبِ, that the most pleasurable of things is that which you achieve after you have sought it to begin with. So by seeking this knowledge, we seek first and foremost the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we seek that by this knowledge we can properly live in the best manner as human beings that we possibly can, and in turn we hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gazes upon us with His mercy and with His lutf and with His gentleness, and makes us enlightened individuals, and then by His permission and by His qudra, by His ability, and only His, can our societies in turn become enlightened, and our families and our communities, and in turn we can please Him in this matter, and then perhaps we can be of those that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran, رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ خَشِيَ رَبَّهُ. He is pleased with them and they are pleased with Him, and this is for those who have true fear and true reverence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.